Welcome to another episode of You Can't Make This Shit Up. Your host, David Washington. I'm Joel Hoxley, and we're going to just jump into this. You Can't Make This Shit Up, Jay and Washington Network production. And let's just start, David. So, a lobbyist for Orange County, Chris Carmody, he covertly drafted, I like the word covertly, covertly drafted a bill limiting the Orange County Commissioner's authority over Visit Orlando funding. Now, Senator Linda Stewart, she introduced the bill, but faced criticism for Carmody's hidden involvement. Despite its failure, the bill prompted favorable funding discussions. Concerns arose regarding Carmody's loyalty and potential conflicts of interest. Orange County commissioners ultimately retained Visit Orlando's funding, but modified allocations. The episode will this is going to highlight the transparency, the accountability issues of the legislative process. Let's go, David.
So, there has been a hot mess in regards to this issue for like the last maybe 2 weeks now. And so, what's happened was that my senator, Florida State Senator Linda Stewart, um, proposed legislation that would require Orange County commissioners to have a supermajority of commissioners. Excuse me. A supermajority of commissioners would be required in order to change the funding levels of Visit Orlando. And so this prompted some outrage. First of all, it just goes right after home rule. And local governments, local jurisdictions are very concerned that the state is eroding their home rule powers. Second, it was learned that this particular legislation was proposed by uh, Gray Robinson's lobbyist, Chris Carmody. And Gray Robinson is the lobbyist on record for Orange County government. In a text message to Linda Stewart, it stated, I'm not verbatim, I'm paraphrasing here, don't let my name appear on this, with a smiley face emoji. And so there's a lot of concern about the conflict of interest that Chris Carmody and Gray Robinson have in this particular issue. First of all, county government was not notified. Mayor Jerry Demings was not notified that this was going to be proposed, that Chris was a part of this, and that Senator Stewart was going to move forward with this. There was no communication between her office or county government. Since this time, since this proposal, Mayor Demings has decided to terminate the contract with Gray Robinson as of March 15th. And he has some concerns about transparency, about accountability, and about conflict of interest. And despite the bill not going anywhere, um, Senator Stewart stated that it did achieve its purpose. The county board did not change the allocations or the funding levels for Visit Orlando. Whew. Spit it all out there.
Well, it's a complex, lobbying's complex.
Yeah.
The fact that somebody could write legislation. Okay, that's the thing. People that watch our show, they need to know that all our legislators, they don't write legislation themselves. There's always somebody else writing it. It could be, the VA wants something. So you have the Legion, the American Legion comes in and says, hey, this is what we're going to propose. Here's the legislation. Can you put, and if you accept it, you can then carry the water for that bill. So I don't believe there's two things that could have happened here. Linda could have gone to a familiar, a familiar company, being Gray Robinson, and said, hey, uh, I'm planning X, Y, and Z. I'd like to do this. And could you help me out? That's where, if that's the case, then Carmody should have been very clear. Hey, this is probably going to be a conflict because we are the lobbyist on record, thus don't put my name on it. Or did they have some kind of request from Visit Orlando, and they just happen to know Chris Carmody is a friend of somebody, and hey, can you help us out? And yeah, I know Linda Stewart, and let's do it this way. All kinds of things could happen because the community, we're all family. We all family. We all run into each other. Uh, I've met Chris Carmody in the past. I wouldn't recognize him from a trotting horse, but I've met him and I know the name. The name is very big here in Orange County. So not knowing the facts is where this conversation gets difficult. But people look at the way legislation is drawn up, anyways. No matter who Orange County goes with, these situations are going to come up unless they tackle it in the contract itself. Now, the
Right.
contract itself, if it states clearly that you can't work with a state senator, you can't be working with a state representative on any legislation that affects Orange County. Maybe that was not in the exact wording. So you find a loophole because we're good at finding loopholes, especially lawyers.
Mhm.
I don't know the facts, but I do know that it looks like Linda Stewart has intentions to make a move for the county commission.
Mhm.
This would have benefited her if she were, elected, because then, hey, only way you can do this is to get a super majority. She's affected them from the state. I don't know. I don't see, everything leads to the fact that I don't think she wants this job if she is looking for it.
Right. Exactly.
Unless she's going to change parties, which I know she won't. She
Right.
is a staunch Democrat. I just don't understand. I don't understand the legislation.
I there's something there. There is there, and you brought up so many good points. One in particular that was discussed in this past week's Board of County Commissioners meeting was the fact of having a new contract that is well read and well prepared by the attorneys to address a situation like this, any particular conflict of interest. Mayor Demings and all of the commissioners, particularly Commissioner Emily Bonilla, Commissioner Maribel Gomez Cordero, and Commissioner Nicole Wilson made some very good questions about what would be in this new contract. What are the alternatives? Commissioner Bonilla talked about, hiring, two people, just to represent the county, not necessarily tied to a Gray Robinson or something like that. And the mayor explained how impractical that was. Is with a firm like Gray Robinson, you have all their resources, and more importantly, relationships. And that's why we need to get into the lobbying business, because we have relationships, and we can be very effective as lobbyists. However, there was a very thorough discussion. There are other groups in line that the mayor will likely seek contracts from or bids or whatever they do it, like the Southern group, same group that helped him get into office. So people remember that he did mention the Southern group in his conversation this week. And the Southern group were the organization that helped him become mayor these last two times. But it makes me, I guess, so many
Well, right
questions.
there, there's a conflict. It's like, okay, well, now you have conservative, you got liberal. We already have these problems. Look,
Mhm.
I'm going to put a name out there. I'm going to reach out to you for sponsorship too, because Bogan Buns and Muns does a lot of stuff, but they don't do lobbying. They haven't done lobbying.
Mhm.
Maybe it's time that you reach out to a
Right.
Bogan Muns and Muns and say, is this something you can do?
Good.
Because you get in there and they are a full firm. They
True.
do all things. They're not just injury attorneys. They do so much more, but I don't know them to be in the lobbying business.
Right.
So a Bogan Munns and Munns, you go to a big firm like that and you say, these are our needs. Can you meet them? Even if they hire somebody, they know what the boundaries are.
Right.
They can then start fresh. You get somebody who hasn't been tied to it, but they can get people that are influential to make the lobbying. So
Right.
again, that's a thought to say, look, you talking big firm, Gray Robinson.
Mhm.
Now talk about a firm that is well established in our area and is an opportunity for them to grow as a with Orange County. So
Right.
I'm not in this business, but I mean, maybe I can go down and make public comments, even though I live in Seminole. But I think those are things we should be looking at.
Mhm.
Getting a big firm, look at they're not involved heavily in lobbying. Maybe they don't do it at all, but they can make that platform and help you out. And the fact that you're doing it March 15th, you're trying to make sure it's after the session, but you're going to need those resources a lot faster
Yes.
than you realize. Okay,
Yes.
we're going to cut the contract because this is the end of the
Right.
this is the end of the session, but oh my god, guess you have things you need that take time. This is not something you can sit on.
And Mayor Deming stated just that relationships do matter, and there have been relationships made with Tallahassee that are beneficial to the county, and they don't want to lose those relationships, and they want to build upon those. So getting the replacement of Gray Robinson and finding another group to do that, I'm sure that's going to weigh heavily into their contract negotiations. Also, this is a great moment for civic education. I mean, we're learning how, as you started at the beginning, how the sausage is made. That, yeah, a lot of times, a lot of the legislation that is um, promoted or presented, sponsored by legislators, they don't really read, they don't write them. It's a lobbyist or a special interest group or advocacy group. So this is how legislation is created, and this is was a great lesson for um, the general public.
Well, I'm glad that you turn.
Civics lesson.
I'm glad that people tune in, and I love the fact that we get to hear from you. Please look at these different things that are going on. Look at the local government that you're involved with, because that's where everything happens. And if the state's going to start trying to take and control each one of these municipalities, you're paying taxes for a reason. You should be standing up to your legislators when they do stuff like this, if you want to. Um, it's important. Again, like, share, just be involved. Be involved in your community. Know what's going on, and this is a great opportunity. Thank you, Linda Stewart. Thank you, Chris Carmody. Thank you, Mayor Demings and the county commission. You've all opened our eyes to the fact that people don't know what you're doing.
Indeed. This was a win for Visit Orlando, the Central Florida Hotel and Lodging Association. They got what they wanted. Um, Hopefully, this is a lesson learned for everyone involved. And again, this is a great civic education moment.
And Gray Robinson, we do know that you are one of the most bipartisan, uh,
Yeah,
one of the most bipartisan organizations that we've dealt with in at least my time. I know both sides are very
yeah, they've been good.
invested in you. So I apologize that this would happen, but you know you got to right your ship. Thank you.
We're out.